Hi, I'm Aubrey Going, and welcome to another Wednesday Wisdom. So our ever popular Therapeutic Tools seminar is coming up. It's starting on the 20th and 21st of April. And over the next 3 weeks, we want to just give you a little bit of a preview of each of the 3 primary tools we're going to be using on that seminar. So we're going to be using cups, a scraper, and doing a little bit of kinesiology taping. This week, we're going to take a look at vacuum cupping, specifically on the bicep. So where the bicep has a tendency to be short and tight, we can feel on Sasha that there is a little bit more tightness on the inside edge, which would be the long head of bicep, but a little bit of restriction on the outside, and probably more adhesion, more sticking at the distal end than at the proximal end. A little bit more sensitive on that end, Sasha? Yeah, okay. So we're going to apply a little bit of oil or myofascial ointment, and we're going to work in a distal direction to try and create some length in that bicep. And then we're going to get in and do a little bit of cupping. So I'm going to begin by applying a little bit of oil or ointment, in this case myofascial ointment, to the bicep, and do a little bit of effleurage. So I'm starting warming up those tissues, making them a little bit more pliable, a little bit more responsive. And then I'm going to do a little bit of myofascial work. So I'm going to switch ends. Because bicep tends to be short and tight, I want to apply pressure in a distal direction. So I'm going to sink in, stretch, and drag tissue down towards the insertion below the elbow. I'm going to apply 3 different applications. That's palm. I'm going to use backs of fingers. And then finally, finger pads. We actually have a full video on how to apply myofascial technique on our YouTube channel. We'll put the links in the description, so watch out for that. Working with the fingers, sinking in, dragging that fascia in a distal direction. So all of this acting as warm-up preparation type techniques for the vacuum cupping that we're going to apply in a moment. Typically, I'll apply these 3 applications 3 times in a row. So 3 palm, backs of fingers, finger pads, repeat that 3 times. Then I'm going to do a little bit of vacuum cupping. So there's 3 different ways in which the cups can be used. The most typical application we see is parking. So parking is when we just create a little bit of vacuum and leave the cup staying put. When you see these very obvious blotching cupped marks on a person, it's usually that the cup has been left parking, and usually parked too long. We typically keep an eye on it, like the way you keep an eye on your parking meter, to make sure that you don't create too strong a tissue response and the area be sensitized. We're not trying to damage tissue, we're trying to free it up. So what we tend to do more than just parking is we will travel with the cup. Has the intensity on that, Sasha?
It's okay, it's about a 2.
About a 2, okay. So this is going to create a much broader response. Because it's not sitting in any one area for as long, we don't get as strong a tissue reaction. We tend to get more of a broad lift through that superficial connective tissue, lifting the skin away from the superficial fascia, and then pulling the superficial fascia and having a bit of effect on the myofascia, the muscle fascia, as we go. But cupping is unique in that it actually creates lift, where most of our massage techniques, we're compressing down into the body. This is actually creating some lift and draw. Now we can modify this. Rather than just parking the cup or just working it, we can add an enhancer. So we can either go with the muscle direction. So as I'm lengthening bicep, I'm drawing down. This would be seen as a myofascial enhancer. Dragging down along the tissues as the muscle goes into its lengthening. And that typically is going to have a low level of intensity. It's going to be well tolerated. Has the intensity on that, Sasha?
So better.
Yeah, about a 2, good. Whereas when we go the opposite direction, we can create almost like a soft tissue release. So I'm going to set my suction, my draw, pull this way. So I've shortened. Think of this as a lock. And then I'm going to lengthen. I'm pulling away from the moving tissue. A little bit more intense? A little bit more. What number would you put on that?
Probably 3.
3, so still tolerable, good. Anything below a 4 we would consider to still be of therapeutic value, that we're not starting to stress out the nervous system. We're not upregulating by making the intensity too great. And it definitely feels like it's moving easier over that short head, which when we palpated, we felt it wasn't as affected, wasn't as stuck. It's more that long head to the inside, and we're starting to see a little bit of skin reaction. We're starting to see a little bit of that petechiae, these little red dots that we get. The overall reaction is referred to as ecchymosis, but we see these little small dots are petechiae. Not necessarily capillary damage, and the difference is this will not be tender to palpation when we're finished. And it'll also clear a lot quicker than bruising. So we're not actually creating capillary damage. The other thing we'll notice is we oftentimes get a very strong reaction on the first go, and that reaction lessens as we repeat the application. So we do find that over time, we're getting just a mild kinking up and erythema of the tissues. So not creating capillary damage as some of the critics of this type of cupping will sometimes claim. Okay, how's that feeling now, Sasha?
Yep, feels good.
Feels softer to palpation. It's not painful to touch?
No.
Okay. So cupping is a really effective technique, really helps to free up those tissues, particularly when we use enhancers. We do some movement as we're cupping. As we said, this is going to be covered in more detail in our upcoming seminar, Therapeutic Tools. Check it out on our website. It's hcd.ie. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys again soon.